Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome in today for episode 104 of the Podwans podcast. I am your host, Char J, joined by my co-host, Chase.
Hi, how you doing?
And Hereth Productions.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hope everyone's having a great Thursday night. Today we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episodes 3 and 4 of Star Wars Rebels, a.k.a. In the Name of the Rebellion, or also the Saw Gerrera arc. Obviously, we're going to be diving a lot into Saw Gerrera, the Mon Mothma, the whole... all the rebel cells coming together and the different parts of the rebellion, and it's just going to be super fun. We got two guests on today to talk about that episode 3 and 4. But Chase, Hereth, are we ready to get the show on the road?
Yep,
I'm ready. Are you ready? That's the really important question.
I am.
As long as you're ready, I'm ready.
Let's go.
The Jedi Knights are all but destroyed, and yet your task is not complete, Inquisitor. The Emperor has foreseen a new threat rising against him. The Podwans Podcast.
And we are back. Okay.
Pulled a Luke.
What?
I pulled a Luke and I cut you off.
Oh yeah, you did. It's
I was
fine.
trigger hungry.
How could you? That's just rude and unacceptable.
Not the first time it's happened, but anyway, as I mentioned before, we have two guests on to talk about the Saw arc of Season 4 of Rebels. Let's bring in our first guest, which every time Saw Gerrera or anything Rogue One related comes up on our podcast, she is always here. Let's bring in the Rogue One stan, the Andor stan, the Cyril Karn stan, M at Stardust M.
Hello. I'm back.
I am not surprised you're here.
And Luke isn't. I'm gonna start spreading rumors.
Oh. But Em, how are you? It's been a minute.
I'm good, yeah. I was like, has it been a minute? But yes, I just watched Hayden's trivia. I was not on screen for it.
Yeah, I mean, you were around, but not on the show,
I was not a participant. I was a audience member.
Which that episode will come out in the next couple weeks because Bucky and Chris will release on Sunday. Then their match is about 2 away.
Next. It was a good one.
Yes, but Em, what have you been up to since we last saw you?
Oh, when did you last see me?
The last Saw arc.
The last Saw arc, yeah. Or the last, I don't know. It was a rough June for me. I will not lie. But we're doing a lot better. I turned 24 beginning of this month, so yeah, doing a lot better. Haven't really done much else exciting.
Beginning of this month?
Yeah.
Well, happy belated birthday, whenever that may have been.
Thank you. Yeah, for my birthday, I was on the diet. Real fans would know Rogue One. It just so happened to line up. So
perfect.
Yeah.
But Em, before we bring in our next guest, where can the good people find you on the social medias?
You can find me on TikTok at Stardust M, on Twitter and Instagram at __ Stardust M. You can also follow my podcast, Kessel Run Relay. We've been on a bit of a break because the aforementioned rough month, but I think we should be back soon. So in the meantime, you can just catch up. And we just hit our 1-year anniversary on that, actually. So
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to hear. Well, I'm glad you're here. I am once again, I am not surprised that you're on today to talk about Saw Gerrera or anything, because this is like this episode is directly linked to Rogue One in some ways.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm sure that you will have
lots of ways.
Yeah,
all the ways.
Lots of ways.
And I'm glad you're going to be here to be diving into all that great stuff. And without further ado, let's bring in our second guest on to talk about the Saw arc. You might have seen him not too long ago, like maybe a week ago. He was on
7 whole days.
He was on to talk about Heroes of Mandalore last week, and he's here to talk about the Saw Gerrera arc. Let's bring in CJ at Escape Reality Films.
Hey, how's it going? Has it been a week? Yeah, it's been a week.
It's been a week.
7 whole days.
As the bare naked ladies would say, it's been 1 week.
1 week
since you looked at me.
Yeah. Well, that's not true because TikTok.
That sounds creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I'm scrolling and I just happened to see my buddy Chase.
Excuses.
But Caleb, how you been? What have you been up to since we last saw you a week ago? Anything major change or?
No, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 early access more because I'm getting pumped for the full release. I actually made a video today talking about some lore because I
When
want to
does
start.
that fully release? I know it was early access like 4 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, the full release is August 3rd, and unfortunately, they did just announce PC's not getting the 72 hours early, but PS5 will.
Wow.
But PS5 is not till September because they're trying to work out 60 frames per second on it.
Well, you get 20 days before Ahsoka, so
Yeah. Which we're going to talk about later. I'm excited.
we will.
Oh yeah. Yes. But before we get the show started, CJ, where can the good people find you on social medias?
So you can find me on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok at Escape Reality Films. And then on Twitter, I'm Escape Reality 94, and Instagram and Threads, which I was just posting to, I'm Caleb.Lockwood.
Awesome. All right, Chase, ready to get the show going for us?
I think I am. I haven't hosted this podcast in quite some time. I mean, it is my podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time you hosted was D Squad.
It was the Mason Jar Jar arc. and
Yeah,
that was
it was.
Mhm.
For
I
our-
don't think he hosted it. I think
No, I
No, they
hosted.
did.
I
They
hosted
hosted it.
Mason Jar Jar. I just presented for D Squad.
because the bit
But
was that Chase took
Okay.
over the podcast, and Chase has always been the
Yeah.
host.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a while.
but yeah, we'll dive into the episode. But first, I have a question for you, because since 1977, I feel like there's always been the who would you be with, the Empire or the Rebellion. But I want to throw this: who would you be in if we also threw the Partisans in there? Would you be in the Rebellion, the Empire, or would you join the Partisans with Saw Gerrera? CJ, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. So I'd want to say I'd be an idealist and join the rebellion and hope that we can do better than the Empire. But also, I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit hot-headed like Saul and would definitely grow frustrated with things. And so I could definitely be convinced to be a partisan. Though I'd still want to try to be cooperative with the rebellion because I think that's the big issue is the divisiveness, and that's why the Empire is able to be as strong as it is because
It's hard to be
everybody's
both.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
hard to be both.
it is, and I've got more I can talk about it, but I'll wait. But
Okay.
I think partisan's going to be my answer because I could be swayed very easily for that.
All right, fair enough. Emily, is it going to be a curveball and you're going to say Empire?
I think I've said on before on this podcast that maybe I would try to join the Parsons. I do not think that Saul would have me. I think that I would be cut. Did not make it past the trial phase of the Partisans.
Wasn't willing to just murder enough stormtroopers along the way.
It's not so much that. I think it's more like probably the cardio. I don't think I'm at the level that Saw requires for his Partisans. The physical training. So I would probably say I would end up joining the Empire. Yeah,
That's
probably
fair.
I'd be working in Mon Mothma's office or something, as
That's
with her
fair.
as a senator.
That's
Okay,
fair.
yeah.
All right, Hereth, Empire, Rebellion, or the Partisans?
Rebellion, but I feel like I'd also be like the people on this episode. I feel like I'd be like a technician that would get and join the rebellion just to help them with their cause. I feel like I wouldn't be I don't think I would actively join them. I think I would kind of naturally fall in type of situation.
Okay, Charlie.
I hope this doesn't make me a fascist, but
The answer is yes, Charlie. It does.
so why was it even an option? I would definitely, I wouldn't say definitely, but I would want to join the Empire strictly because of the fact that I want to have a really sick get up. If
So
I can
for the
dress like
aesthetics.
Thrawn, yeah, literally. If I can dress up somewhat similar to Thrawn and then just run down the corridors of a Star Destroyer. Like, oh, engineers, report to the hangar area.
Hey,
I don't know.
You got to follow your heart, Charlie.
I
At
don't
the
know.
end of the day.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of wanted to just like bridge the gap here.
That's fair.
We all
But,
know Chase's answer.
I would 100% join the partisans, like without question. Saw asked me to jump. It is how high.
Well, I mean, in this case, for the Empire, if you were to compare the Empire and the Rebellion, I'm sorry, Chase, I think TIE fighters are better than X-wings.
No.
Okay, if we
The
had a
MC-80
whole
is
other
not as good
show
as a
about this, we
Super
could
Fighters
talk about
suck.
that.
Not the ones that fold in like Moff Gideon.
I mean,
Oh, so
I
the
don't-
ones that
okay.
like 1% of the Empire are
yeah,
flying.
the 1%.
I don't think TIE fighters suck. We don't have the time.
But we do.
They're also
But we
they're
do.
also for somebody joining the Empires for aesthetic. That is the least aesthetic part of the Empire. Like it is the worst part of the Empire.
No, Those TIE fighters
Aesthetically
look
speaking-
sick. I love the TIE
Aesthetically
fighter look.
speaking, the Rebellion has way better aesthetics when it comes to ships.
A little bit run down, but you know.
Aesthetics are subjective. Number one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
They all look good. We could have a whole
that's a
episode
whole
of the
nother
Orca Freighter
conversation.
in episode 2 of this arc and how sick that thing looks. But we won't. TIE fighters are awesome. They look sick. They are super fast. They're super maneuverable. They pack a heavy punch. But they don't have shields or a hyperdrive. So
Although partisan ships are also
the partisan ships, the Cavern Angel ships are just look. My boy Edrio showed up in this episode, and he flew in on the U-wing. That thing looks so good. But yeah, no, for me, partisan all the way. Saw Gerrera can do no wrong. Has never done wrong. And yeah, I fully support the flechette cannons in that Imperial banquet.
Yeah.
I would have been holding one of the cannons, like, yeah, you guys suck. You guys turned down a bunch of like alien races for no reason other than they were alien races. You're getting shrapnel in your butthole. But yeah, I would definitely join the partisans. But not going on. We can talk about Saw Gerrera. We can talk about this episode. I'm assuming people who are watching this have already seen it, but just to break it down, the episode starts off with the Ghost Crew showing up on Yavin 4, the beloved Yavin 4, and Hereth comes crashing in, and then finds the Ghost Crew is on Yavin 4. She's very excited. Mon Mothma's there. They're talking about plans for this relay, and then Saw Gerrera Skypes them unexpectedly.
Skype them.
This is pre-rebellion. We can go back a few years. FaceTime and Zoom aren't around yet. And he basically makes fun of the rebellion, kind of rightfully so, for basically not doing anything. Like, you just took a huge loss and you're not going to do anything about it. And so they go on this mission to destroy this, or to sabotage this relay on Jalindi. Is that the planet?
Yeah, Jalindi.
Jalindi, yeah. And then things go wrong. Saw Gerrera comes by and just starts dropping bombs. Doesn't
as
it's
he
like he's
does.
like, "Hey kids, there's a bomb going by. Do you
Get
need
the
a
hell out of
ride?"
here.
Picks up the kids. Hera's super upset. They take off, and Saw has this bit of intel saying that there is these supplies for a Imperial super weapon. And so they go aboard this little freighter that has all these Imperial cargo, and they find some prisoners in there as well, which Saw was not aware of, but Saw doesn't really care about. He's here for the super weapon bits, and then they do find the super weapon bits in the form of a kyber crystal that's the size of a minivan. And then it gets shot and starts to become unstable. And then Saw Gerrera stuns Ezra. I forget he does that. And so when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh man, who shot? Oh yeah.
Saul's track record with teenagers is not
Not
the
good.
Yeah,
best.
it's not. Yeah,
I just love the joke of like, you shot me. Actually, I stunned you.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
clarify. He
It's
was
still,
not
you know,
shot. He was stunned.
Like, I left you alive.
If I shot you, you would be dead.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
don't miss.
So Saw Gerrera does destabilize the Kyber Crystal after waking up Sabine and Ezra, setting them free and saying, you guys are allowed to do whatever you want to do. If you guys want to help the prisoners, you want to do what you guys need to do, that's fine. You can also come with me, but I'm leaving now. I'm not taking anyone else. And as Sabine and Ezra go off, they save the prisoners, they hop in a shuttle, and the Kyber Crystal is used as a bomb, which is great ingenuity. Thanks, Saw Gerrera. Blows up not only the beautiful Orca class transport ship, but also the Star Destroyer, and disables their shuttle with really good special effects. And then the Ghost Crew comes in to save the day yet again and picks up the babies. And everyone learns a valuable lesson that maybe Saw is right, and we should actually be doing more in this war because the Empire is 1,000 steps ahead of us.
Once again, Titus's career is sinking.
Oh yeah, and that's the end of the episodes. It's great. Saw's always right, and we learn a lot about Saw and how perfect and great he is. So I unapologetically support Saw Gerrera. He does no wrong. But my question to you guys: who in Star Wars do you unapologetically support, or at least ignore all of their wrongdoings? Emily, go, because I think I know who your answer is going to be.
It's a group. Saw Gerrera, Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor. Never a thing wrong they've done their entire lives.
Does Cyril Karn make his way into that list?
No, Cyril Karn has done wrong. I want to make it very clear. Cyril Karn, he's my little fucked up. If he defects, that's a different conversation. Currently, he's done wrong.
That's fair.
He needs a good shake, but he's just my fucked up little guy.
Everyone needs a fucked up little guy.
Yeah, which I guess Saw Gerrera is also my fucked up little guy, but
he
different.
is fucked up for like all the right reasons, where Cyril's fucked up for all the wrong reasons. And
Yeah.
like I said, if he makes the right choice, we can learn to forgive and maybe forget.
Yeah.
But no,
But
like
currently,
I agree. Like Jyn has never done anything wrong. Cassian, I don't think has done anything wrong, and people think Saw has done things wrong. He hasn't. He's always done it with the right reason. You may not agree with the way he did it, but he did it for the right reason, and it always works out. CJ, who do you unapologetically support?
I'm definitely unapologetic for Elzar Mann.
Fuck yes.
He's definitely made mistakes, but unlike some other Jedi, he's always trying to be better and work towards improvement rather than just accepting failure as his new status quo. So yeah, he murked some people, but Starlight was gonna fall anyways, and Stellan was sick already. So best we can do is move forward. So that's my stance.
That's fine. Is someone going to bring up Markion Row next? Is that fine?
that Markion's in the fucked up little boy
Little guy.
situation.
Markion's your fucked up little guy.
Yeah, he's
here's the thing. He may do horrible things to everyone in the galaxy,
including
but
my
he knows
boy
how to strike a
Loden.
pose.
Yeah, like my boy Loden, like that's a little hard to forgive, but I can forgive Yana Rowe. Yana, I'm also unapologetic for. Marta, I'm waiting for a little bit more before I'm unapologetic, but
okay. That's fair. I
Marta's
need to catch up on the High Republic. I
bad.
know a decent amount. I feel like my knowledge of like Marvel and DC is the same as like my knowledge of the High Republic. Of like, yeah, I know enough through osmosis. Like I know who is not around anymore.
like I know names and I know who's dead or not.
I know all the spoilers, basically.
Yeah. You talked about a dead person just then.
Let me just update my list.
How do I know? Do I know how they died? No. Do I know they're not here? Yeah. Hereth, do you have an unapologetic supporter?
I mean, I would have gone with Elzar Mann, but CJ beat me to the punch on that one.
Oof.
So
No,
this
no,
is a preemptive
no
unapologetic
duplicates.
support because I'm predicting what's going to happen in Phase 3. My boy Bell no matter what he does, I'm behind him
Yeah.
1,000,000%. If he wants to kill Markion, he's gonna kill that motherfucker.
Take Ember with him. They'll tag team him.
Okay, he has a cute dog. So
Yeah,
like,
Ember's great. Breathes
Like-
fire.
okay, does Bel Zettifar give off golden retriever energy
Yes,
Yeah.
because of the dog or just himself?
It's
both.
He's not so much golden retriever because he doesn't have the energy. Of
Yeah, he's
it.
not very
like he's a
sporadic.
really
yeah,
he's a very
yeah.
sweet guy, but he's very like calm and focused.
That's true.
Imri is the golden retriever.
Oh,
Reef is
yeah.
also a really
Reef is
good
yeah.
golden retriever energy as well. Into
Yeah.
the Dark Reef specifically.
Yeah, and Imri is just golden retriever
Yeah.
always.
I'm going on a very long bike ride next week. I'm riding across the state. I'm gonna go see Lucas Egan in Nebraska, and then I'm gonna ride across the entire state of Iowa, and I'm gonna download as many High Republic audiobooks as I can to just get through
Oh yeah, you'll get
through it.
The
I finished
audiobooks are really
Princess and
good.
the Scoundrel riding to New Jersey, and that was great.
Oh, it's great. That was
yeah.
the last time I saw him was talking about Princess and the Scoundrel.
super good.
Yeah.
The last, so I listened to the audiobook, the last chapter where, because it was really cool that they were splitting the chapters between the two narrators.
Oh
But
yeah.
the last
Mhm.
chapter, when it's them actually having a conversation, I was like, this is fantastic. I love this.
Mhm.
I think I had the same concerns everyone else did of like, is this going to be a Galactic Star Cruiser commercial? And obviously I'm reading it after the Star Cruiser shutting down. It's definitely not.
I know.
And it's so endearing how like Han like is like, I don't like this ship, but I want to look at it. Like it's very, very cute. Very, very good book. But yes, I will be reading I gotta get through Rising Storm and Fallen Star. I think I can get through both of those while
Yeah.
I know.
Chase, you've been on Rising Storm for how many months now?
It's not okay. I don't want to be harsh. I haven't gotten to the point where I enjoy it yet. Light of the Jedi starts off so strong. The first half of that book is like some of my favorite Star Wars writing. Just the countdown.
Yeah, I
to
was
the
gonna say the
incident
countdown
is
is
so good. So
I-
good.
I had the opposite problem as you, Chase, where like
Really?
the Light of the Jedi, it took me so long. I had to
Oh.
start it again. I like had to drag myself through it, and then Rising Storm, I just like flew through.
Man, I feel like A Light of the Jedi like teetered off after the incident. It
Yeah.
felt like it slowed
Yeah.
down.
Oh, see, I struggled the first half. Like, if anything,
Wow.
the second half I felt more because I was like, oh, I have characters to grasp onto.
Okay.
Yeah. I just like
Right,
having
yeah,
the,
because in the countdown, there's so many people you're introduced to that are just immediately dead.
I read it. I didn't listen to it, and everyone's been telling me you need to listen to it. You need
Yeah,
to
the
listen to Mark
audiobook's pretty
Thompson,
good.
do Markion Row, and all that stuff. So
I've never listened to the audiobooks. I read everything. So
yeah, I go back and forth. Like
Mm.
when I ride bikes is when I read. Like I've read almost the entire Expanse series, and those books are like 24-hour audiobooks each. And so it's
Oh,
just
they're,
like,
they're like Game of Thrones levels of
they're
long.
Yeah.
big books. Oh, really
For
good.
me, yeah.
They've had the same narrator for every single book, and he's great.
Yeah.
He also like doesn't do, if he can't do the voice, he won't do a voice. So just like, yep, you're getting my voice for this character.
You know what though? I can appreciate that. Why try a voice if you can't get it right?
knows his strengths. But super good books. Anyways, Charlie, who do you
Hi.
unapologetically support? I'm really sorry we talked about books I haven't read yet.
It's okay. Count Dooku.
Really?
Yeah,
I could see an argument for that.
Because I mean, if you think about it though, like you have to think about like his ambitions. Like Saw Gerrera, yeah, he's violent, but like he has the right like idea. Like that was the same thing as Count Dooku. He was doing the right thing, but from an outside perspective, he was causing a lot of harm, and he knew that. And if you watch the Sith Lord episode in Tales of the Jedi, when he's talking to Palpatine, he was like, "How many have died because of my actions?" Like he's aware of what he's doing wrong, but he thinks it will benefit the galaxy. So from someone's point of view, you can say that, yes, I support that, but also it's a little bit too radical. I don't know.
I can understand Count Dooku. Where, because I think that my interpretation of the difference is Count Dooku felt like he was doing good, but was actually doing wrong, where Saw Gerrera also thought he was doing good, but was actually doing good. But yeah.
Flip it.
But no, like I think even the discussion with Kenobi when he's in the hollow hover chain torture BDSM room that Dooku has. Like yeah, he like I get it's a good speech, it's a good conversation they have. So yeah,
I mean, Count Dooku, I feel like up until the Sith Lord episode has a chance at still redeeming himself and not falling, but then certain things in the Sith Lord episode happen, and I think that's his cutoff where it's like, okay, I've gone down this path.
Right now, I'm just having Dark Disciple flip through my mind of like all the fucked up shit he was doing.
I haven't read Dark Disciple.
There's a reason why they're just like, the whole plot is the Jedi Council's finally like, you know what, we'll send an assassin after him.
Because I'm thinking of like Dooku's speech about like the clones and like how like they have like slaves, and you're just like, what the fuck, Dooku?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters in Star Wars that do a lot of messed up shit, but
Yeah.
look at all the Anakin apologists, for example.
Hey, people thirst after Kylo Ren. That dude shot 3 straight up laser beams on planets.
Destroyed 6 planets.
Well,
he
watched
Adam
it
Driver.
happen.
If you ask this question, Adam Driver would say that Kylo Ren has done nothing wrong, because I think he said that in an interview at one point. He was like, he did nothing wrong.
You know
what are your
what?
thoughts on Kylo Ren? Was he a good guy?
I
I think
rewatched.
he was a good guy.
I rewatched Force Awakens like last week. He
Which, oh
doesn't
my God,
shoot
I
the
love
laser beams. Hux
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair.
The only like person I think he kills in that movie is Han.
Yeah.
The only thing that
He kills out the one
then
guy.
he,
'cause
like-
remember he chokes the one guy.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
Lo-
and then he
Santeca. Yeah.
injures.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's Santeca.
Yeah, who
Lord
he also is
Santeca.
like, you look so old. I was like, what is that dick?
He's not innocent.
And he also
But
like
he's not as
kinda-
guilty as I think some people portray him to be.
Especially if you read
and he
Rise-
hospitalized
Especially if you
Finn.
read Rise of
He
Kylo
doesn't.
Ren.
He
I
thinks
think,
about killing his mom.
Yeah.
Does not
He
kill
doesn't.
his mom.
Yeah.
He feels really bad about killing his dad.
the homies shoot his mom.
Yeah.
The
So
homies, my homeboys.
And I'd argue in Rise of Kylo Ren, it's proven that he didn't do anything wrong until he was chased like in The Fugitive, and he self-defense.
But also,
He-
Ren was kind of peer pressuring him. Be like, yo, you gotta just gotta kill them if you want to join us. You know,
Richard
it's kind of
Kimball
the
over
deal. You haven't felt pain yet. You just gotta kind of do it, man.
Yeah, like they assumed he did the terrible thing to the Jedi Academy, and maybe you should have investigated that first.
Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker opens with a murder spree from
Yeah,
Kylo Ren.
yeah.
So
Okay.
I also
We don't know.
And-
We don't know if
And
those
Attack of the Clones ends with Anakin killing a bunch of
We don't-
people, but yet he's still good for a whole
we don't
movie.
we don't know if those
I don't
people
support Anakin.
Also,
We
they
don't know
were
if,
Vader supporters. They're like Vader
Yeah.
enthusiasts who are like obsessed with Mustafar.
We don't know.
Oh,
if-
lava.
Yeah, we don't know if the people on Mustafar that Kylo kills though are innocent. We don't know that. They were protecting a Sith artifact.
It's self-defense.
I also keep thinking
See,
about like
it's a
when-
matter of perspective. It's a matter of
Most
perspective.
aggressive self-defense I've ever
It's
seen.
self-defense.
slamming them to the ground.
I just picture Kylo Ren as like a dude in like Louisiana with a shotgun. it's like yeah, I shot the guy.
holding
across
his-
the
he's
street.
Where's
holding
my
his
Sith
ground.
Close to my
wayfinder?
driveway.
He was on my property.
He's holding his ground.
You're a
This is
He
my
was
trespasser.
on my
grandfather's
grandfather's
house. You need
farm.
to
I had to
leave.
shoot him.
You ain't gonna get my Sith wayfinder.
And if we're gonna say Kylo didn't shoot the laser for Starkiller, Vader didn't shoot the Death Star, that's all Tarkin.
Well, Tarkin didn't shoot it. He just said to shoot it.
He ordered it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
When-
Tarkin, yeah.
Yeah. What about the guy that was pulling the switch, huh? You
When-
blame
when I
that
was
guy?
watching-
Yeah, I blame that guy.
He was taken
Actions,
care
actions
of.
speak louder than words, and that guy did the action. Tarkin
Yep.
just did the words. That's right.
I was watching Force Awakens.
Kylo Ren didn't even say anything. He just stood there with a reflection in his mask.
Lens
I
flare.
kept thinking in Force
Off
Awakens
planet.
it would be hilarious if someone did a voiceover as like nice guy Kylo Ren, like just talking.
Oh
to
my
Rey.
god.
Ray, I'll treat you the best, and we'll
That can be arranged.
yeah.
just
know,
like
why-
the cringiest guy, like the slappable jerk on TikTok, like that character just voicing Kylo Ren, trying to sweet talk Rey.
Yeah. Finn's just pretending to be a nice guy. I'm the actual nice guy.
When he like goes into the room and she's going like, "Why did she leave me? I thought I did everything right."
I told you not to stay with my uncle.
Oh, why did she just go off with that Chad Finn? Oh,
I'm gonna go.
You guys have to
listen.
be with
Listen.
me.
I'm gonna go listen to we the what is it? I'm trying to think of like what's the band that sings Check Yes Juliet, like we the Kings, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Ray, what the
Kylo Ren has
fuck?
definitely had a fedora face. That's all I'm saying.
Would rather hang out with a ball than me. Imagine.
All right. Well, that was fun. I would also say Saw is my unapologetic.
Yeah.
Like, could never do anything wrong. Has never done anything wrong.
Yeah, I mean with so I'm just trying to go over. So you said Saw.
She
Chase, you
basically
said
said
Saw.
she basically said the whole
Yeah,
Rogue
all
One cast.
Caleb,
Yeah.
Caleb, you said
Elzar.
Elzar Man, and then Hereth, you said Belzettifar, right?
Yeah, preemptive bells out of our.
Okay,
And
so
then
then I
for
said
some
Count
reason you
Dooku.
thought Dooku.
Hey,
I would throw
Let Dooku cook.
I would throw my girl Erica in there.
I'm
Of
surprised
course.
you didn't
Of
jump
like-
to that one first.
So-
Look, she may have genocided a planet or two.
or two,
She
maybe
learned
three,
a
why not?
valuable lesson that day.
It's like Callus. They made some mistakes.
we made some
they
yeah.
tried. They're
It's
trying
like-
to do better.
You sound like so
How do you
Han.
know genocide is wrong until you actually commit genocide?
We learned a
Like,
valuable
Yeah.
lesson. You cannot
Yeah.
trust those people.
lessons have been learned,
Sometimes-
guys.
Sometimes you accidentally almost kill an entire species, and then you're like, "Oh, okay, that was not the correct choice."
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Yeah. And then you become roommates with somebody from that species.
It was
Yeah.
just
Changes your
her
life.
cringe imperialist era. That's it. Like
Yeah.
She just went through her alt-right phase, guys. Come on.
Everybody,
So like, I'm just trying to think because Erica Quell, that's New Republic era. And then
Yeah.
we have High Republic era characters. We have Saw, who's in the like prequel and original trilogy. Then we also have me when I said Count Dooku, which is also like end of the High Republic era into the prequel era. A lot of eras, but which one's your favorite?
I guess I'll go first because
Go ahead.
keep it up.
based on my last answer, at least for canon, the High Republic, I'm really loving everything coming out. But also topping the list for Legends, I got to go with my Old Republic era. And I'm liking the little drip feed of information we're getting within canon of like just every time Lucasfilm is like, here's a little bit more of the Old Republic for you.
We'll just put the
Which-
logo on screen. Just never talk about it.
Yeah, let's introduce some ships into Rebels that you've seen before, and
Still not over that in the studio showcase. We're just gonna put it on the screen, guys, of all the eras, but we're not gonna say a goddamn word.
yeah. But I like the little. I mean, even in the comics, we're getting some information here and there, and so I like High Republic though, and I like the Old Republic. I just like seeing the idealistic eras, I guess, of Star Wars.
Okay. What's your favorite era of Star Wars?
I guess it's technically two separate eras, but I just consider it one. It's like the Empire Rebellion era.
No, it's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Galactic
Technically, it
Civil War.
separates.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
technically, it separates with
we
the original
separated it
trilogy,
now,
but
yeah.
but I consider like everything
Like
from
anything post episode 3
BBY to Return of the Jedi. That's the era.
Yeah, the gap between 3 and 4. So
Mhm.
Solo, Rogue One,
Well, yeah, but
Andor.
I would throw in
anything.
I would,
Uh,
yeah,
3 and I would throw in 4, 5, and 6.
yeah. Like,
Like I like.
So
Clone
you're
Wars.
combining Raid of the Empire and Age of
Yeah.
Rebellion, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically 2, but I think of it as 1.
Yeah. Hereth, what's your era?
Well, I mean, if I can't go with High Republic because it's already been stated, I feel like the most underrated era is after Return of the Jedi, New Republic era of like the build up to the First Order and the New Republic and what's going on with that. Like again, I love like just the right after Return of the Jedi, like everything's kicking off to the Battle of Jakku. It's just like that era is so good.
Yeah.
And then obviously with all the Disney Plus shows going on right now, it's like I love that because I feel like it's getting explored a lot recently with Shadow of the Sith and Bloodlines and that kind of stuff. But I feel like it's not explored just enough. I want so much more on the book side.
Yeah, I do like a lot of the post Return of the Jedi content, but a lot of that comes from like the expanded universe stuff that was going on. And I would definitely, if this were pre 2018, I would say Old Republic would have been my favorite. But ever since Rogue One came out, that I wouldn't say the era between 3 and 4, very specifically like Rebels until 4.
Okay.
Like that era, the Andor era.
That 5 years.
Yeah, like exactly that. The 5 years before the
That
Battle
is
of
5 years.
Yavin is so interesting to me. Like even like the Kenobi show for me was great, but like that's even too early for me. It's just like the stuff that was going on leading up to the rebellion getting to where it was in the original trilogy. Like that stuff interests me so much. Like seeing like the change of like the stormtroopers and the Bad Batch is really interesting to me, and like how we're seeing the evolution getting to the point where we're at in episode 4. Obviously that's very soon after episode 3, but seeing that like the build up to episode 4 always interests me, and it's like my favorite stuff to see, like all the stuff that we see in Andor, and like the concept of like when the TIE fighters are flying overhead in Andor. I'm like, that's like a new ship that they're seeing, and it's like that's a ship that we've all known for years and years, but they're like, that is a whole new Imperial ship that we've never seen before, and like that stuff's really cool. So definitely that whole little era is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, mine's definitely got to be the Galactic Civil War. So everything from Rebels, Rogue One, the original trilogy, like everything within that time frame is my favorite. Because I mean, it has Empire Strikes Back in it, and that's all that matters, you know. Because anything else is just
when
less.
I think about Star Wars, it is that time period. It is X-wings versus TIE fighters. It is the Rebel
Which TIE
soldiers
fighters are
versus
better.
the stormtroopers, and
I
like all the
always
other stuff is
default
really cool
to the
but
rebellion.
Yeah,
As
like
like that is like, to me, the rebellion will always be, or the Star Wars will always be the rebellion. I know some people default to the Jedi, but I always go back to like
it's
rebellion.
it's always the rebellion versus the
Yeah.
Empire.
I love the Jedi. I love Force lore. It's very interesting to me. But yeah, like that's why like something like Star Wars Outlaws is really interesting to me, because it is just like,
Yeah,
you
it's gonna
are
be
a
good time.
scoundrel, you are a smuggler, and you are on the run, and you don't have Force push or Force heal to help you out. You got to figure this out.
I was so excited when they announced it that it's not in Reign of the Empire. They're like, no, it's between 5 and 6. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Even though that is a lot of, I mean,
We still
that's
have a
where
lot in that era.
we still have a lot, because that's like most of where the comic run takes place, like Star Wars and
right now,
Hunters
because
and
the current
Crimson
2020
Reign.
runs are the 2020 runs is the 5 to 6.
Darth Vader adjacent content is usually in that time frame.
Yeah,
like War of the Bounty
which that
Hunters
stuff is really great, but War of the Bounty
Hunters,
really
Dr.
good.
Aphra is all on that little snippet of time.
I'm curious what their goal is for comics after they're done with this particular section. When they're done,
I did just buy the TIE Fighter comic series on Kindle that I need to.
It's pretty good.
Because I've heard, I know it's like a tie-in to Alpha Squadron, but I've heard it gets into kind of interesting things about the Imperial.
Oh yeah,
Navy
because when you open
like
Alpha Squadron, there's just like 3 pages of the comic in the middle of it for no reason.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, everything with the original trilogy is just my favorite. Like,
Yeah.
nothing else. That's the creme de la creme of Star Wars. I'm just
Yeah, and everything outside of it I think is really interesting, and it's like it's always good to have just like, hey, here's stuff that happens after the original trilogy, the stuff that happens before. Like the Old Republic is great. I mean, like I haven't read a lot of the High Republic or really any of it, but it's all seems very interesting, and like the concepts that they're driving. Very excited for the Acolyte, and that seems like a really cool show. I think that can go a lot of different directions, and I'm very excited to see where they go. And just like I expect to be fully surprised by like some of the stuff they decide to do, and I think it has a lot of opportunity. But yeah,
The Acolyte
it's
to me,
cool to get more of that stuff.
The Acolyte to me is what Andor was for M.
Yep.
Like I'm ready.
That trailer at Celebration looked so good.
Yeah, that I was like the Sith thing, like when I was really young, the Sith thing was cool. Like red lightsabers, that was cool. I very quickly fell out of it. Like
It's
my
the,
first,
it's the edgy boy.
yeah, my
It's
when
like
I
the
was
15
when I was
to
like
14
14
era.
playing Knights of the Old Republic, my first role was like, oh, I'm doing dark side. And then I was like, I hate every second of this.
Yeah, like it's not like after a while, it's not fun being mean because you start to see the effects of it, and you're like, this isn't fun anymore.
It's
Yeah.
like that like Mass Effect or like Web of Shadows type of effect where you're like, I'm gonna go full renegade mode. I'm just gonna kill everyone. You're like, oh, it's not fun. Look at all the damage I've caused.
But yeah, like hearing that it was like, oh, it's going to be a story about a Sith, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess we actually haven't gotten like a live action Sith story. I guess that makes sense. But seeing the trailer, I was like, this looks very, very interesting, and we're going to see things like we've never seen. So very excited for the Acolyte and for that era of time.
Yeah, Hereth, are you Hereth, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, obviously, there's always the meme of like, oh, Saw Gerrera appears and everything, even though he literally every time he appears, it makes absolute sense every single time.
It's because
So-
he deserves it. Let's not
Yeah.
forget that.
Mhm. Even if it didn't make sense, I would still support it.
So on that kind of effect of like characters that really don't appear often and you wish they would appear more, what character in Star Wars do you wish would constantly appear but doesn't?
I've got two answers that I would like to throw out. One is the generic one that I've already brought up, like Erica Quell. Like if Erica Quell ever showed up in live action, I would die. I would die. Like it would happen. But I'll go with an almost as predictable answer. Any of the characters showing up from D Squad, like even just in the background, would be amazing for me. Like if Whack was just like hanging out in an
Black's part
episode
the
of
rebellion
like,
now.
yeah. Oh, he would definitely be in there.
Pit droid leading the charge.
Yeah.
You just imagine Din going into a cantina and you just hear Meeber Gaspar just talking in the background.
Yeah, like that would be like just like something of like Whack, or even just one of the droids just in the background. Like I would have the Wolf of Wall Street moment. Like
Oh no, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when Leonardo DiCaprio's like,
yeah, that would be great. But I think for all reality, like Erica Quell or I know we're going to talk about it later. Harrison Dula having a lot of Hera in the Ahsoka trailer like killed me. I was like, because it was obviously a lot of Sabine in the past two trailers at Celebration, and there's a little snippet of Hera, but like hearing her talk and having like an actual conversation, I'm like, she should be in everything. So yeah, that's maybe three answers, but yeah.
let's go to CJ next.
Okay. I also kind of have three, but I'll cut it to two for now. For the one that's less reasonable for me to ask, just some characters from the Old Republic era that aren't Revan. Because I like Revan, but he's not my main jam. Zane Carrick or like any of the Keldromas, which is what I wished for when they announced Tales of the Jedi. But
Yeah, different Tales of the Jedi.
yeah,
Not just the prequel era.
yeah.
So I don't think that any of the Jedi or Sith would work in the new canon from the Old Republic.
I think the Keldromas could fit.
I mean, they're so far in time. Probably.
Yeah. I
think-
The big
I think
argument
characters
is the
like
video game.
Mira, Bowder, the droids like T3 should show up in canon for sure.
The Sith are a bit harder though because they're like extra OP.
Yeah,
for no
they can
reason.
like crush and evaporate people.
Or
Star Killer.
like we talked about last
Oh
week,
my
take the Force away from planets.
Yeah, like Vitiate doesn't work.
No. He's also, I've made the jokes because of how much they bring him back in that game that he is my SpongeBob meme. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I would
on a more
Karth?
reasonable, yeah, go ahead.
if we got I don't think he should be a main character, but like Karth as a side character in a canon show, would
Karth
be
could
really
fit.
cool.
Like, and you get for you get your pilot type character. Out of
Yeah,
Karth.
just like the emotional weight of Karth. Like Karth, like when I first played the game as a teenager, like, oh, Karth is so annoying. He just doesn't want to talk about anything.
But then when you listen to him, it makes his story
so
is
depressing. So depressing.
He lost his family, thought his son was dead, which you can then find his son, and it turns out like he's now part of the Sith.
Yeah, and just the relationship with him and Saul is like heartbreaking. I hope we get
And
Karth,
the comics build up on that Karth and Saul you see why Karth believes in him, but you also see the descent of Saul and like his madness.
Yeah.
The more reasonable request, more Riva.
Oh, of course. That's the most obvious
Yeah,
one.
for sure.
Yeah, like that's my more reasonable request. Give me more Riva. Like we know they want to do it, but just do it.
Yeah,
Just give her a Disney Plus show.
Give her a show, put her in comics, give her a novel. I mean, we already got an Inquisitor novel coming out, which
she's a character I think that Disney will use to surprise us. Like they won't say she's going to be in a show and then she's going to show up. I think she's going to become like the next Saul, where she's just going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so good.
Agreed.
She's so great.
Who's the character that you wish would appear more but doesn't?
Kira. She got
Kira,
her.
yes.
She has, her comic, but even the comic arc, like, and it
She's
kind of
rarely in
out
it,
her
yeah.
story with Crimson Dawn. That is still such like a short period of her life, like seeing more of her rise in Crimson Dawn, seeing now that she's ended, like where she ends up afterwards. I have always maintained that she was, or that if she was alive, Lando would have called her and she would have showed up at the end of Rise of Skywalker, because that's what Lando asked and that's what Han would have wanted her to do.
Yeah. Is her book out?
No, that's October.
No, her book isn't out. Well, we don't have to, but like,
What
what book? I don't know that.
Did you get it?
Did you get it?
Wow. You can't say. That's fine. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. We can talk about
It's a yes. It's
that cute moment where Han and
those
Leia are
things that
talking
we
about
don't,
Kira
yes.
and Princess and
Yeah.
the Scoundrel.
Yeah,
It's
in the
really
Princess
adorable.
Scout. Yes, Beth Revis did the, like, she kind of did the Kira shows up, like she was directly mentioned there. So yeah, I'd love to get more Kira. I think I see now why, they didn't include her in the Book of Boba Fett, because it's clear that like Charles Soule had an arc mapped out for her, but I think she has they have an opportunity to put her in more stuff for, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what Kira in the New Republic era would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not written
For
by
sure.
Dave and John, but written by maybe Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
I feel like the Kira story that I've been kind of pitching forever is the story that they're not going to tell in the Foreign What Exists book. Is I want to see the story of Kira overthrowing Maul and then taking Crimson Dawn.
Yeah,
like
that's-
because we need to know how Maul
What's-
gets to Malachor.
What's that? Yeah, what's that story between Solo and her coming back in the
in
comics?
the comics?
Yes,
like-
yeah, that is a big missing piece.
That's something that I've definitely been thinking about a lot, is when people, kind of voice about a character not showing up, or they should have been here, they should have been there. It's like, there is so much coming that we don't even know about is coming. But it's like, be patient. Like,
Yeah.
the people at Lucasfilm aren't stupid. They know who people are talking about. They know what people want, and they're slowly.
They kind of know it. They were so close to getting what people wanted with Kira. It was so close.
Well, we're getting a book in
if I speak.
Yeah. And
Hasn't
then
Amelia Clark said she's like,
Amelia Clark
Amelia
almost
Clark-
spilled the beans during the
'cause,
press tour for
Oh yeah,
because
because
Secret
Ben Mendelsohn
Invasion.
tried to hide it,
Because
and then yeah, 'cause they hide a
Ben
cut in there.
Mendelsohn asked her, and then I was like, Ben Mendelsohn, why are you asking?
Yeah, Ben, you're
It-
supposed to be there to make sure she doesn't say anything
I
about
mean,
that.
I was like, interesting, Ben Mendelsohn. Why do you have Star Wars on your mind?
And the funny thing is, I talked about
Why
it
you
in
bring
Ian's
that up?
tweet. It was one of the most popular tweets. If you pay attention to the way that the video is, it cuts immediately after you ask the question because like there's a really weird like frame stutter. So she must have said something, and then they had to completely cut it out of the interview.
But Ben does also immediately recover it too, though. He's like,
Which I
"Oh,
think they just cut out her saying, and he just
Yeah.
immediately recovers it.
yeah." Which I mean, I mentioned that and I commented on your tweet that like that's just how Disney is operating now. Because after the Tom Holland stuff, they've always had him with somebody else to be his like, don't say anything. And I think all Disney properties now have that, where there's like somebody there that's like,
yeah,
don't say anything.
I would be super shocked if there is not something in the pipeline that's very big for
Yeah.
Kira Amelia Clark
Mm-hmm.
coming. Maybe not this year, next year, or the year after, but like there is stuff coming.
Yeah, well,
As far-
especially with the
yeah.
strike.
I mean, as far as
Might
we
be a
know,
little delayed.
yeah,
I mean,
A
as
little
far
bit
as
of
we
a
know,
tiny strike.
as far as we know, the Lando series is not dead. So like,
No.
so
It's just
that's
gonna-
still, it's just it's just in
I
development.
know
hell.
it was like they
So-
were like, oh, we're waiting for Donald Glover, and now of course if Donald Glover would be writing and starring in it, then you gotta wait.
Yeah.
Not to be
Which
a
they
broken
should, but
track record, but I've been saying this forever. The way to do Solo 2 would be smart on Disney's end, and Lucasfilm's part would be have Lando be the start of initiative. Do a Lando series, a Crimson Dawn series, or call it Dawn or whatever the name is.
Yeah.
So that's not repeating the comics. And then you have a Han Solo series, so a Han and Chewie show. And then they can all cross over with each other and then connect and then decide to go back to their own shows.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Netflix did with like all the shows. And you can have a kind of like a small
Defenders.
interconnected story
I'm
going.
surprised. I'm surprised Disney Plus hasn't done anything of that level yet.
Yeah, and it's like you
I
can
think-
have the Mandoverse over here, and then you have the Solo initiative over
like
here.
Mandoverse is the closest to that.
and I also think that they might like I know that like the initial reactions to Alden were so mixed, but I think
He's
the
great.
fact
Yeah.
but the fact and I think the fact that he has been getting a lot of praise for other roles now, and that people are like, oh no, like I really like Alden. Like I know like specifically someone in their Oppenheimer review was like Alden is like as a standout. Like
Yeah.
and I mean he was really
I-
good in Cocaine Bear.
I love all of the Oppenheimer Barbie memes. They're so
Barbieheimer
good.
for the win.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see both
Barbieheimer.
of those movies.
Yeah. same.
Probably back to back.
I wish you could
Char.
back to back.
So
Give me a character that you need.
a character that doesn't appear, but I'd say I'm gonna say Padme. I wish Natalie Portman came back and did something. Not even just like in person, but like if they were to like load up like an R2D2 holo vid or something. I want to see something of Natalie Portman again in Star Wars. I miss her and she wants to come back, but I just want Natalie. I just want
And Star Wars
Padme back.
Star Wars fans are primed for it too. I mean, because like the comics have been making it, the Vader comics especially have been like priming fans to have her come back. Like
Except
the whole
they need to
Amidala,
free.
The
whole
Amidalans, yeah.
Amidala arc.
Except they need to free the poor handmaidens of
yeah,
that
yeah.
arc.
That I've been talking to Hayden about that on Twitter. so, like-
Hayden, I've heard about it, like, because they tell me it needs to stop. They need to stop it. I'm sorry that
it's
that
getting
man
it's
hates
gotten
you.
out of it's getting under it's getting out of control.
Well,
and I'm
like,
just like
even the same vein, like let's bring back Keira Knightley with
Sabe,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
Sabe.
she is
I'm-
alive. Like that's like we know Sabe is like
Yeah,
that's
like-
like a character.
I'm
Not even like
surprised. I'm surprised they haven't thought about it, especially since like after Pirates, she became like
took
big.
off.
yeah.
I think that deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith that Mon Mothma is in, you could make an entire like 1 season, 2 season show about that scene with Padme starting the rebellion, and getting
Yeah.
help from Sabe and stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be so
Absolutely.
good. But Char, you know what's also interesting?
Oh yeah. You don't have to remind me, buddy. Let's do it.
I always hate where it is in the freaking banner thing.
Find it.
You know what's
Three
so
interesting facts about a certain Rebels arc that you didn't know about until now. What's so funny, Chase?
that you could just say that.
Yeah.
I know, which is funny. Which is I don't know why that's a thing. I guess
mean,
they just
you've made
wanted to
the-
like add a
You've
new.
already
like-
put the effort into making the video, so you got to use it.
Yeah, it saves me from repeating myself 100 times. You know what I mean? But yeah, part 43 in the name of the rebellion edition. Fact 1: a sprinkle of partisan love. This episode marks the series debut of the U-wing from Rogue One, now sporting the black and white partisan livery spotted on the X-wings of Jeddah in that film. Fact 2: more partisan love. In an earlier version of the script, Saw's pilot was going to be a new character named Lork, who was designed to be a Clatoonian. To better connect to Rogue One, the pilot was changed to Edrio Two Tubes, with David Accord to reprising his role as Two Tubes' voice. Fact 3: even more partisan love. This story points Saw to Jeddah. His presence there would escalate the violence on that moon as his partisans strike against the Imperial occupation, as described in the novel Guardians of the Whills. As seen in that story, Saw still has both his legs, meaning that the major injury that caused him to lose one, and indeed because his whole health to what caused his whole health to deteriorate, occurs closer to the events of Rogue One. And there you have it. Those are the 3 interesting facts about In the Name of the Rebellion or the Saw arc.
I cannot express how excited I was to see an Edrio cosplayer at Celebration this year. That made like
so
the
cool.
whole week
Benthic
for me.
and Edrio. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see Benthic. I only saw Edrio. But I was like, and it was so good. Like the guy who did it was like incredible. And like he obviously was wearing a mask, but I was like, can I please get a picture? He's like, yeah. You know who I am? Man, I love Benthic and Edrio. They are so cool.
I think it's interesting that in this episode, it's one of the few times Chopper gets called a kind droid.
I mean,
he is a kind droid. I think Chopper gets
He
a little
deserves
bit of
more
a bad
love.
rap.
he got his oil bath.
And then I did notice it's something that bugs me that Rebels is the only one that I can think that does it, is the Death Troopers talking basic.
Oh yeah, I always thought that was weird in season 4.
Like, especially in this episode where they're like obviously giving like commands that you wouldn't want the enemy to know. And so it's just like, oh, you're giving Saul the advantage here.
But I also feel like earlier seasons, like they had a little bit of a garbled voice, and they just slowly started like stop doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
I love the sound effect of the Death Troopers. Like
same.
that voice effect is so terrifying. Like I remember like when going to see Rogue One in the theater and just like seeing the black stormtrooper and just the garbled, horrifying sound. I'm like, oh man, those guys are cool.
Yeah, it
Also-
makes
Morse
them
code.
it makes them feel more like special ops.
They can
Like-
speak Morse code.
also, I was gonna say another thing that I loved about this episode was laughing at the entire time in my head is like so many connections to Thrawn treason with the whole cargo, and I'm just like, oh, this is about to become Thrawn's problem in like 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at myself. And I'm just thinking about the situation with like the creature that's eating all the cargo, and they're watching it happen. Like I just like, oh my god, like stuff like this is just so much fun to like think about.
And Ezra needs some new names to pick whenever he's lying.
That was amazing.
He's like, I am Titus. What are you talking about?
Also, can we talk about the commander's name actually being Brom Titus? I was like,
Yeah.
wait, did I hear that right?
Also, we've seen like we've been like, I think specifically seasons 3 and 4 follow like Brom's like slow descent to madness of him just not ever winning whenever the rebels are involved. Like whenever the Ghost Crew shows up, there goes another promotion for this man.
Poor Brom Titus with bronchitis. All right. Well, I think that's the bulk of it. However, there are fun things to talk about. We need to the episode. First of all, as we always do, CJ.
I'm thinking Captain because like it's a good episode. It's not Chef's Kiss, but I could almost be, I could almost go Admiral. I could go Admiral almost because like getting Saul, like any episode with Saul, is good.
Yeah, I was gonna say it takes a lot of courage to be that wrong, but thank you.
Impressive.
But it's not. But it's not. But
wrong.
yeah. But it's still not Chef's Kiss. But it's Admiral.
Emily, where are we putting this?
I will go Admiral. I really enjoy it. I enjoy seeing Saw a lot, and I think this makes it's a good stepping stone in his transition to Rogue One Saw. I do hold back because I know that despite how Saw's and how the audience interprets Saw and like how we interpret Saw, like we were talking about, like he was in the right, like what his speech and what he said, he was proven right. Like Mon Mothma shouldn't have waited for the Senate. He was willing to engage in direct conflict, and because of his strategy and just his overall thing, he was willing, or he ended up training the girl who saved the entire rebellion. But I know that Dave Filoni wants you to be like, look at, he's so extreme, and like this is why he could never like lead the rebellion. So it gets Admiral. Also Wedge is in it. I like that a lot. I always forget about that, but I love a good Wedge appearance. They're kind of the two. Yeah, Kels and I did some math at one point to try to figure out who had more appearances, Wedge or Saw, and they were like nearly tied.
Also, I love how Hera immediately was like, because Wedge starts to blame himself, and Hera's like, "You did nothing wrong."
Yeah. Hereth, how does this fall for you?
I would say this is a grand old classic Admiral.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on why you're also wrong?
I mean, I'm wrong because I feel like, again, I'm a broken record. I say this every single ranking episode, and I will say the same thing over and over and over again until we get to a specific episode.
Mm-hmm.
There are just some episodes of Rebels that are just like way up here, and like I feel like season 4 is consistently Admiral, and then it has like, and then near the end with like Jedi Knight and like the finale in World Between Worlds, it spikes to Grand Admiral, and then it kind of goes back down to Admiral. Like I just think Rebels is just so consistent. It's kind of hard to have that like diversity of like, it's always going to be a captain up. But I also feel like
that's what I was
thinking.
thinking.
It's just consistently with Admiral.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Char.
The first episode of this arc is a Grand Admiral for me, but the second is an Admiral. So I'm gonna stand on a definitive Admiral here.
Okay.
Just the reason why I give the first episode a Grand Admiral is because of that dialogue between Saw Gerrera and Mon Mothma. It is so good to see Saw Gerrera call out Mon Mothma on her shit. Just to be like, hey, I hope you find some comfort after the Empire wins and they reign over the galaxy unopposed, is that you fought this war according to the rules. And then she's like, shut it off. I'm like, ew, Saw's right here. Even though he might be a little bit, outrageous and sometimes, he's calling you out right now. And to just sit here and just not do anything about it. Like, Saw is the reason, is what you should base what your tactics should be off. I mean, don't be too crazy, but there's no way the war is going to end peacefully. She was trying to find a peaceful way to like resolve everything, but that's not how it was going to work. That's not how it was ever going to work. You're going to peacefully negotiate with the Death Star? Be my guest.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that Saw was like, yeah, you need to change your strategy now, or you're going to lose.
I do have thoughts that I mentioned before the show, but I'll wait till we get Chase's ranking. I think we know what it is, though.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with what Char said. Is like, I do think the first episode is hands down a Grand Admiral episode. I would put the second episode as almost a Grand Admiral, kind of because of what Ezra learns from Saw in that episode. But for me, like, this arc sets up and justifies A New Hope. Like, when you realize like Luke Skywalker murdered over 1 million people to help put an end to the war, obviously it doesn't right then, but it starts like, something that becomes the whole Galactic Civil War. That wouldn't have happened had it not been for what Saw said. And so I think that whole exchange with Mon Mothma,
it was a major turning point.
It's so incredible, and he's so right. And I think that the prisoners on the cargo ship are like a really good trolley problem for Ezra and Sabine.
Yeah.
That like they they solve their own version of that trolley problem, and Saw solves his version of the trolley problem, and everyone gets away with the right solution.
Mhm.
And because it's like you stopped a super weapon like supply depot from entering the hands of the Empire. You also took out a Star Destroyer, and you saved the lives of like almost a dozen people. And those dozen people ended up joining the rebellion and are going to help continue serving the rebellion to go against the Empire. Like it is like the trolley problem finally solved, and it was there is no one track you go on.
And the funny thing is that we didn't talk about this at all during the podcast, but I love how Saw Gerrera specifically went to the radar just to be like, "Hey, Sabine and Ezra, you want to come on a mission? I need your specific talent." Like, I was just like the entire time, like during the first episode, because again, I forgot about the whole like him recruiting them for the specific mission. I thought it was more like coincidence that they got on it. So I was loving to myself because I was like, "Why didn't you just bring the partisans?" Like the entire time, I'm like, what are you doing, Saw?"
It's because Dave Filoni loves to act like Saw doesn't have any supporters and that he's crazy and out of bounds. That he only has one people. He loves to act like nobody believes in Saw.
That transitions really well to me and what I want to say though.
Go for it.
So I have an idea of why I think Dave does this. So it's definitely because the like Star Wars is supposed to be like this pure good and evil conflict, and I think the rebellion represents that pure good under Mon Mothma, whereas Saw adds a bit of gray to it, and I think the adding of gray to certain people is bad. When in reality, that's just how things are sometimes. And I think Saul is good because he's still a good person, even if he's along the gray of it all. And I think Dave tries to keep that pure good and evil conflict going, and that's why he writes Saul the way he does, which it's weird because he and George made Saul for Clone Wars, so I don't know why he's gone down that path for Saul, but that's just...
Yeah, and it's especially hard when you have projects then now like Andor and Rogue One that operate very much in like all
that
of
gray.
the characters
Yeah.
live in this gray. Even Mon Mothma now.
Yep.
Tony has taken a strong kind of like she is also making sacrifices and decisions
Because
that
we see with her family life, like,
yeah, could be considered bad, letting like all this. So it like it's hard. Yeah, there's this conflict there with that, and then things like Rebel Rising, where you have Beth Revis giving a really nuanced approach to Saw, and softening him a lot by giving him a daughter and like someone to take care of. Which I think, like honestly, I think if it had been up to Dave Filoni, I don't think that he would have given Saw a child ever.
Yeah, I don't want to speak because I don't know Dave Filoni's like
no, yeah,
interpretation of Saw.
that, like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's just from
these are the assumptions. That we make.
We're inferring upon him, but yes,
the outsider perspective.
The portrayal of Saw in the animated series, well, like yes, we can totally pull things and like, oh no, Saw is right in this one. Where it's very much like, so it's like, oh, maybe we should listen to Saw, but we're not actually going to go through with Saw's plans is kind of the way. But for me, what's so interesting about Saw is he fully embodies George Lucas's vision of the rebellion, and he bases it off of the Viet Cong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, if you look into like American propaganda of the Viet Cong, it's kind of disgusting. And a lot of the American propaganda and a lot of other real life situations, not great. And like having that character that will stop at nothing to stop the suffering in the galaxy. And it's like, and this comes with hard decisions and difficult choices and things that you'll regret. And I think the famous Andor speech from Luthen like encompasses all of that.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything that Saw fought for and everything that Luthen fought for is exactly what the rebellion was about and was supposed to represent. And they're fully tying that in to make sure that like no idiots on the internet can go around saying the Empire was right and that the rebellion was wrong. And I think that narrative being like cast of like, yes, things had to be difficult for the rebellion and things were tricky, but it was all for the right reasons. And so I just love all of the interpretations and portrayals that we get with Saw
and
and
of course
the new
sequel
characters.
era. And the sequel era just proves that Saul was right, because we see what happens under, like, while I kind of defend Mothma's attempts to try to bring peace to peacetime, we see the results of it.
And I think that's a really good transition.
I was not having. Oh, it's Mon Mothma's fault. The First Order. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I agree.
I literally hate y'all so fucking much that you will play. Sorry, I'm so mad.
No, I'm with you on that.
Go, please go.
Anyone but the fascist for the fascist, like the fascism. You're like, well, it's Mon Mothma's fault. No, bitch. It was Palpatine who had a specific plan to get the Empire to rise. It was all the people who believe so deeply in the Empire that they were willing to wait in the shadows and rebuild.
I mean,
it's not Mon Mothma's fault for seeing how many people died, how many people she knew personally had to sacrifice their lives, had to sacrifice their relationships, had to sacrifice everything for this cause, and just hope to give people a little bit of peace. Like, that's was it 100% the right decision? Maybe not, but like, was it a decision that makes sense? Yes. And some of y'all also go on this like, oh, we got to give Saw nuance. You also have to give it to Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
Like, listen, and it's just because like. And like it drives me crazy because if it was a white man, they would be falling over themselves to explain away
right. And I feel like
we
all
also,
this discourse has started again because of the Ahsoka trailer. It's like
we
arguing about the Hera Mon Mothma trailer scene.
We also have to remember that Mothma also wasn't in charge by the time the First Order was a well-known issue.
He's the hell out of there.
Yeah, she's retired. Like I don't know who. I don't know if we know who was Supreme Chancellor at that point, or Chancellor rather, because they get rid of the Supreme.
The thing about Mon Mothma and like the peaceful like resolution she had was like it was a decision she made that didn't work out. That doesn't mean it was the wrong decision.
It's an idealist. It was an idealistic choice because she
couldn't have known that what Palpatine was planning, or that like there were people that were so committed that they were willing to.
There's stuff in the books, in the comics, and the games that like shed light of like there was a contingency plan and it was going to continue, and I think it will be for me. And we can dive into this with the Ahsoka trailer, but for me, it is like my first gut reaction isn't like, well, Mon Mothma is wrong because she wanted a peaceful galaxy for the New Republic and didn't think that there was any need for the military. But we also have these stories of the messenger droid and Operation Cinder happening and all of these horrible things that was like Palpatine was not stopping even after he died. Mm-hmm. And it's like my biggest thing is like, I want to know how these stories intertwine to these decisions that were made in this middle of the New Republic that led to the First Order coming to play. And that's what I really liked about Mando season 3 was like the beginnings of the First Order and like the Shadow Council and stuff.
And I also think this idea that, because it always bothers me when people talk about the sequels and they're like, well, like it just like ruined this peaceful thing that they had, and like it meant nothing then what they fought for. Which one doesn't acknowledge is that a lot of times when fascist governments fall, the first government to pop up after it doesn't always work out. Like in real life, like it's not an off reflection of like how hard it is to reform democracy. It's hard and it doesn't always work out. And sometimes you have to have multiple revolutions and multiple uprisings before.
Germany was split in two after the fall of World War II.
I mean, Egypt has had how many revolutions and uprisings? Like
France.
These things, France.
Yeah,
perfect.
France is nonstop.
Yeah, like how many constitutions has France had? Like it doesn't always work out, and it doesn't mean that it meant nothing, or that, it means that the New Republic did it like a horrible, shitty job. It's just like democracy is not an easy thing. Defeating fascism is not an easy thing. It is a lifelong
It's an always fight. It's an always fight.
Yeah, people are always going to have that ideology. It's just what we can do to stop them from gaining power.
I think Bloodlines is the biggest like piece of the puzzle of like seeing the inner workings of like how they got control of the New Republic. And once again, even by then, Mothma's not in charge anymore. Even by then.
Yeah, Mothma's
So-
not in charge. Leia is like mentally like, I want out, but she can't do anything because she's like too attached to the New Republic and trying to
Yeah,
fix it. But
so
she's also
she-
in the back of
yeah.
her mind, like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, like if we look at like the timeline, like Mon Mothma is like getting up there in age, even at the time of Return of the Jedi. Like,
Yeah,
she
'cause
can't
she-
serve
'cause she's-
forever.
She's Padme's age or around there.
She's older than Padme, I think.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Revenge of
older
the
than
No,
Sith.
Padme,
Padme
yeah.
and her are the same age.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, I mean, yeah, and then what we learned in Andor, the fact that she has been 16, doesn't she say that she's been
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
senator? So she did that she's 16, and then
And
she's
that's
in
probably-
her
years.
Probably ignoring
20s.
her childhood years doing
Yeah.
the ambassador, like the child ambassador.
Yeah,
program
like
that,
being trained for it. Like yeah,
we see Leia and
Yeah.
Padme do.
yeah. And then she's a mom, and her husband fucking sucks.
Fuck her husband.
And then
Fuck
she's-
Perrin.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to see what happens to that guy. That dude's gonna get fucked so hard. I'm
People
so
keep
ready for it.
it. Like Mon Mothma's gonna set him up, and he's like gonna go to jail. And I was like, okay, but then that causes a situation where then she has to eventually pardon him because
Yeah.
you can't set up your husband to go to jail and be like, just kidding, I am a rebel.
But I also
He's gonna be
feel
do you want to
like
break it out?
I-
She's, no.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be a situation of he's gonna get his foot too far in the rebellion, and he's gonna go a little on a walk on Coruscant. And he's gonna get murked by Luthen.
I hope
I don't think Perrin's gonna die. I think Perrin's gonna like suffer until he dies.
Yeah.
Like he's a character that like will not get a quick end.
all the
Uh,
best though for her daughter though. Like she's stuck in a terrible
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Like she's being manipulated by her dad, and her mom's
Poor baby.
trying but can't like help her daughter while running the rebellion. It's a lot.
She's 13.
Yeah.
I hate people because like she's so mean. She's 13.
Yeah.
Be
Like,
so for real that you were
she's
that
going-
nice to your parents at 13.
she's going through a
Star
lot.
Wars fans don't understand teenage girls. What? No.
And now she's dating the son of a drug lord, but like kind of.
That dude's gonna die.
Yeah. Luthen will kill him.
He's gonna die. Perrin's gonna suffer for a very long time. The guy who's getting
The financing
Mothma's
guy?
daughter
Yeah.
married off. That dude's fucked.
But I was
Yeah.
gonna tie it into this episode with the Hera thing because I find it very interesting because with this episode it was like Hera wants to do what Saw wants, but she can't. But I feel like with what's happening in the Ahsoka trailer, I feel like she's finally being like, again, I think obviously Mon Mothma's right, just wrong time. I think Hera is gonna be like, you know what, fuck this, let's just do our own thing. Like,
It's her version of the resistance. It's like we
Yeah.
won't get support, so we'll just do it.
let's take Phoenix
we've all
Squadron.
we've
go
all
fight.
seen the new Ahsoka trailer, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Man, that was a great trailer. I was so excited.
It makes me more and more sad because I'm loving Balin as I see more and more of him, and it just makes me sad every
Mm.
time I think about
Yeah.
it. And it's just
Yeah.
like I really like this character, and honestly, that would be a character to explore based on depending what we get in Ahsoka. But
Balin books.
yeah,
Well, that's probably the only thing we can get.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Comic,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was
Oh,
saying.
no,
That's why.
no,
That's
don't
why
worry,
it makes
Hereth,
me
we're
sad.
gonna get a Balin show.
That's what
Don't
I'm
worry.
saying. That's why it makes
No,
me
I'm saying
sad
like
to
Revenge
think
of like
about.
the after Order 66, like during the original trilogy mercenary books.
Yeah, like
You
an
know,
origin
you can
story, yeah.
you can certainly he can certainly come back in
You could do
like
animated or
prequel-ish
comics.
content, like you know what it was like for him when he was younger,
Mhm.
and you can just simply use a younger actor for
That's
that.
true too. Yeah.
He's
Because
gonna
like
get
that,
Yeah.
very similar to Reva is like the rise, you know, the rise to Reva would be interesting, but I think Reva's character after Kenobi is the more interesting part, whereas
Yeah.
Mhm.
Balin could be the more interesting part is the character before Ahsoka.
Depending
be
what
the
we get in
interesting
Ahsoka.
part. Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't know. You know, we will see.
Either way, I think he's going to be an interesting character. It's just going to come down to what part is going to interest me based on what we learn about him
Mhm.
after the show.
And especially with the Anakin name drops, I think he's gonna get that kind of Thrawn effect where it's like, wait, how did you know Anakin? Wait, what were you doing during the Clone Wars? Wait, are you like like, Bo, are you like what type of mercenary are you? Are you like that
Yeah.
Quinlan like Esting? Like what camp of Jedi does he fall? Like that could be like there's so many. Like, I hate prequel era stories, but there's so many different things they could do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love Rosario Dawson. Like she is incredible in everything she's ever been in, and like she was incredible in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett as Ahsoka, and like I'm so excited just to see where she takes the character when she's the star. But like,
she crosses her arms too much.
she does cross her arms too much, and the show will be garbage because of that. We can't ignore that fact. But we do have live action Hera to make up for all of that.
Yeah.
So every time she speaks, I am just like, a new line in a trailer for Hera. Oh my god, so great.
Also, the kind of backstory we're getting about Sabine and Ahsoka, like, is so interesting. Of like training and what we know as now a non-Force user to be a Jedi. That's
she is a non-Force user.
I'm hoping
That was
I'm praying.
confirmed.
I'm praying for.
I'm praying. If they change that, that's gonna be.
That's gonna be a tough pill to swallow.
Because I know that Fern made a video talking about how like Force user is kind of doesn't have to be just like Jedi or like Sith or like obviously Char had some Force sensitivity.
But Sabine never really like tapped into it.
It would be
however, I prefer to keep
Yeah.
And
I think, well, into that, I think everybody is Force sensitive. It's a matter of are you Force using, which is why, like,
well,
not,
no,
like, are you
except the High
attuned
Republic,
with it?
except the High Republic kind of dismisses that because the leveler, even people who don't use the Force,
which it's weird
suffer
because
from the leveler.
It's weird because Star Wars has always said
really
everybody's connected to the Force in some way, which it depends also on how the leveler feeds, because Phase 2 kind of questions some of that too.
But
I'm talking about Phase 2 when it like attacks like path members, or like it gets path members who didn't use the Force at all.
Yeah.
But like they just noticed that they had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, going back to like I like the idea that maybe we're getting this philosophy angle of training of a non-Force sensitive user, because I see it as like Sabine's wanting to get more proficient with Ezra's saber to take on the mercenaries, and then you get the line of like, you have no power, and like I can see like
to rescue Ezra potentially, especially since she like had some of that training with the dark saber. Like I think being able to save Ezra and then also continue on basically what Kanan was teaching her.
I was just about to say, like, I think Rebels did show that very well, of that just because she's not Force sensitive or whatever, like a Jedi or like a Force user, someone that's like skilled with using the Force, can relay that information to someone, and that person, while they may never be able to lift rocks, right? But they can still learn from the lessons of the Jedi, and from someone, especially someone like Kanan. And like we see how much she grows and changes just as a person hearing these things from Kanan, and like the Trials of the Darksaber is just like unbelievable for like character growth between her and Kanan. And I think, like you said, continuing that relationship on after he's gone, and I think Ahsoka is kind of the perfect person to do that for Sabine. And just like, it's like, just because you're not Force sensitive, and I'm sure we'll probably get some discussion about that, of like, it doesn't matter. Like, again, it's not about the Jedi mind trick. It's about who you are, and it's about like understanding your own self. Like,
Sabine is getting the arc that I wanted Jason to get, but I'm kind of rather giving it to Sabine, because I do like the concept of you come from great lineage, but you don't have access to the Force. And why? Am I like a Jedi? And like I wanted Jason to have that arc, but I love how they're giving.
But I also want Force sensitive Jason.
I would like to see it skip a generation, because it's been a while since Star Wars has tried that storyline. But I could go either way.
Yeah, I think and I do think that they might be going the Force sensitive Jason way, because if the Lego is a reflection of him, Hera's genes getting KO'd out of
Yeah.
out of Jason. I think if they're making him a spitting image of Kanan, then that also means that he's gonna be force sensitive.
I think they're
Okay.
also trying to fight
thing.
I think they're also trying to immediately try to retcon the green hair because
I didn't. I think the green hair was fine.
Kids' hair
It's just
change colors over time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the thing is like part of it was like the Jason design was,
it's not
like,
as bad as
it
people
was
make it out to
weird.
be.
But like also part of that was like like I am a big supporter of the Rebels animation style, but like Jason looked fucking weird. But so does Hera. I always argue that Hera looks weird in that epilogue.
Yeah.
Her makeup is fucking weird, and like she would like they put her in this like dark eye makeup. It's very strange.
Also, with what we
so
see
like
in the
I think
trailer-
like I don't know, like I would have liked his little green hair and little green tips.
tips.
And I'm also sad that if this if it is changes and he just looks like that, I'm sad because that means that Lando's kid won't really look like her mom at all.
Mhm.
Which I think
Yeah.
it'd be really cool to see like you know, Lando like with like Lando's daughter with like blue hair or something like that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, again, this is going back to the trailer footage.
Yeah.
Like they're retroactively, I think Pep did a really good video about it. I think they're retroactively going back and changing things about the epilogue because I think they didn't have the whole story mapped out yet.
Yeah.
So I think they're just
Yeah.
changing
I
subtle
mean,
things.
that's been
like hair,
changed like
cloaks.
since the Mandalorian season 2, they've been changing things like
Which yeah, that's fine to me. I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like it's more I feel like it just this kind of it's a little boring.
Yeah.
I think it's just more fun to have a little green haired child.
I think the real question is if Jason is force sensitive, and as we're moving into this era of Luke training the new Jedi Order, will we get young Ben Solo and Jason Syndulla fighting?
no,
no.
Jason
Bickering
no.
because
Not like lightsaber
no.
fighting, but just
Yeah.
like Jason's older, and is he going to mess with Ben Solo?
I would
No.
I would love to see
Jason and Poe are too busy being friends.
Poe, Jason, and Ben.
Okay.
That'd actually be my dream.
Oh my
'cause
god, Baby Poe and Princess and the Scoundrel.
Yeah, like baby Poe, like but so seeing like, you know, like a 10-year-old Poe and Jason and a little bit of a younger
Shara Bay and
Yeah.
Hera.
yeah, like I would really love that. And I've been a very big advocate for Kes Dameron in
Yeah.
Andor season
Tess
2.
and the Pathfinders.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
Kes Dameron, played by Gal Garcia,
Ooh.
Diego Luna's best friend. I am a very big advocate of that.
I would love to see Jason maybe, again, it depends what they do with Thrawn. It all comes down to
Yeah.
Thrawn at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But Jason maybe helping the Skywalkers after Thrawn's death would be interesting, and him kind of like not taking on the Ezra role, but kind of help guiding them with their force sensitivity and keeping
okay.
it after their childhood type of situations. Like,
Yeah.
that could be an interesting story for Jason.
I'm also interested with Morgan Elsbeth.
Oh yeah,
because she's in the trailer and confirming that she's like one of the big bads. And I like that it's kind of this race to Thrawn because like she's got the map in the
Thrawn
trailer.
is just the MacGuffin,
I was like-
and I love it.
I was like, your ass is not getting power such that you never imagined.
Like, well, I think that's also clever trailer cutting. I don't think he's
Yeah.
talking about
Oh,
Thrawn in that moment.
No, I just find it very objectively hilarious that they're setting up everyone being like, Thrawn is gonna come back. He's gonna like be this
gonna
new
give us
herald
everything.
of everything, and like meanwhile, it's like fucking Leia's
Yeah.
kid sitting trying to float like getting attacked by a kitchen droid. Be like, no, that's the guy you gotta start.
Yeah. Star Wars Explained
Suck it
put out a good
too.
theory. He put out a good theory about
Hucks his
Bailiff.
little ass.
Yeah. Like Star Wars Explained put out a good theory for Bailiff that he's like not that he doesn't want Thrawn coming back at all. He's actually hunting Thrawn to get rid of him as well because he doesn't.
I heard about that theory because his whole theory is like, what if Balin doesn't have any allegiances?
Balin's-
He's neither
yeah.
rebellion or empire. He's like fuck order type of like.
He
guy,
does
which-
have an orange lightsaber, and to everyone at Celebration that was telling me that the lightsaber wasn't orange, kick a rock.
Yeah, it's orange.
And people like no, it's not orange. And I'm like, I know colors, guys. Like I may not know
what color is
every
it then?
single
Like,
side character in Star Wars, but
yeah.
I know what the fucking color orange is.
I'm not colorblind. I do know color.
I went to the eye doctor before leaving for Celebration. They definitely confirmed I'm not colorblind. It's a fucking orange lightsaber. And I'm like, no, it's a it's just the filter they're using. And I'm like, it's not Instagram. It's a fucking orange lightsaber.
It's a movie. They're not gonna add an extra filter like that on a TV show.
Also, Filoni said during the panel, 'cause again, I wasn't at the panel, but I saw a bunch of tweets about it, that the color, like his saber is very specifically orange for a reason. They're not just doing it just to do it.
They don't want them to be considered safe.
Now I'm curious because is it just for differential reasons or is there story reasons? Because we've only seen orange crystals once before and they don't work.
I think it's not a real lightsaber.
Oh, is it Kyber, not Kyber?
Kyber, not Kyber?
I think it's not even Kyber. I think it's some sort of laser.
Master and Apprentice introduced.
Yeah, because I remember, or something like I remember, like that was like a big theory after the trailer came out, was like, oh, they are supposed to be red or something, but like because they're not actually Kyber, it's just weaker, and the color, and like it also doesn't seem as bright as an actual lightsaber, like the actual like light produces. So
I would love if it was like synthesized Kyber, which was the expanded universe explanation for red lightsabers, was that they synthesized the crystals, which always made them red. Hot take, I like that more than bleeding the lightsabers.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that one, but I'm with you on a lot of things, but not that one.
Many heated discussions about this.
It feels very anime. I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
but if they're using the orange lightsabers to like bring in a little bit more expanded universe in, like these are synthesized crystals, that would be really cool to see.
Colon, that's the name of the ones from Master and Apprentice. Colon crystals.
Because Obi-Wan, when he ignites it, don't they say it's orange? Like
it's orange. They are specifically always orange.
Okay.
But they're also like, what was their uses? I think they can go through. They can't really fight lightsabers effectively, though, if I remember correctly.
Oh, damn, there goes that theory.
I'd have to reread. It's been a minute since I've done Master and Apprentice.
Well, I'm very excited for the show.
Yeah,
I'm like, speculating is fun. I do want everyone to like calm the fuck down. Like, just let the show happen, please.
It doesn't have to be air. It doesn't have to be a direct one for Heir to the Empire with Rebels characters. Just let it.
Like,
and it shouldn't be.
No, let it just do its thing.
Also, it doesn't need to be.
It's going to be what it's going to
5.
be, and we should talk about it for what it is, not what we hoped it was going to be or what we hoped it wasn't going to be. We should just talk about it once it comes out. I'm super excited and I'm ready to see what they do. The thing about every single Star Wars show, they have surprised us in one way or the other with what they've done, and I think they've done a great job with that. And I fully expect to be surprised by something in Ahsoka of like, no one was expecting this, no one was expecting that. You know, if we look at, that like just the whole perspective of Andor, I think was a really like welcome surprise. All the Mon Mothma stuff with Andor was wild. Leia and Kenobi, like no one was expecting that. So I'm expecting something about the show to also have that something.
There's I think, obviously trailer, but there's I think a lot of I'm guessing a lot of characters that have also not been
revealed,
introduced yet, especially based on like I mean, Mando was a little bit more upfront about it, except Axe Woves was kind of a surprise. But
I forget how
Andor, like the other arcs, like you didn't know like any of the Aldani people, Andy Serkis and Melshi. Well, not really. Melshi
was Melshi was a surprise that like he showed up.
Yeah, Melshi was a surprise unless you were following leaks, but
I
like unless you saw leaked set photos, but outside of that, like if you didn't, they kept him secret. Even characters like Brazo and were a lot bigger
Well,
than like
Yeah.
I think the benefit of
trailer.
Andor though as a show was that it was covering pretty much entirely new ground with new character like
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's a lot. I think there's a
yeah.
lot of potential for new
Yeah.
New Republic characters
Yeah.
and potentially people connected to Hera and Sabine.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
'Cause-
obviously Thrawn.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we've
depending
already
on
seen
how
Kaz's dad, so
Yeah, I think because of I forget how Beth got this information, but I remember she posted about it that we know the Inquisitor episode is episode 4.
yeah. Oh,
So
it's
we
because
know
yeah,
the
she
trailer.
saw it on
it
like
was the data. It was the data on the
Yeah.
image,
Yeah.
like
the
Yeah,
metadata.
it was the
metadata.
metadata.
That's how we know about Kaz's dad.
So like we know that the trailer is the first 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's only 50% of the show. So
oh yeah.
We don't know
most
what's gonna
most
happen.
shows don't show like in their trailers, especially Disney Plus. They rarely show anything past the first few episodes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the show, but
I'm excited about the mystery of the Inquisitor also because
Yeah,
it's not Starkiller.
no, it's not Starkiller,
it's
and it's
definitely
not
Starkiller,
and
guys.
it's not Ezra. I don't know. I don't
If
think
it is, I'll
It's
put my
Starkiller
head through that
possessed by the
bookshelf.
spirit of Darth Revan. Dude, trust me, bro. It's
you
happening.
got your sources. You got your sources.
I got him.
Is it Doomcock?
It's a dude. God damn it.
No, very excited for Ahsoka. Saw Gerrera will somehow show up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Look at there.
DeForest
Look at his little
burn
nod.
Saw Gerrera.
We'll see.
Uh,
We'll get some hologram footage of him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I maintain that technically Book of Boba Fett had a Saw Gerrera reference because of the rolling the droids.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like
yeah.
he learned like we had to roll them slowly.
to-
So technically, in my mind, that's a Saw Gerrera
That's
reference.
fair. It counts. It
Hey,
absolutely
yeah,
counts. But that being said, Emily, where can we find you on the internet?
You can follow me on TikTok at StardustM, on Twitter and Instagram at _StardustM. I'll be on Twitter until it dies. I guess I'm not leaving. And then
Elon Musk needs you. He really does.
Yeah, well, I was there as people have pointed out. I was here before Elon Musk.
Okay,
so,
fair.
And you can follow my podcast, Kelsey Run Relay, which I do with my 2 besties, Liv and Hay. Once again, we should be coming back soon, hopefully.
Nice.
but-
Any dates, or is it still up in the air?
It's still up in the air. I don't know if we'll be, but I think we're finally at a point where we can start recording again.
That's fair.
Hey.
Nice. CJ, same question. Where can we find you? What are you working on? What's going on? How you doing? What'd you have for breakfast?
Y'all can find me on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and TikTok at Escape Reality Films. And then on Twitter, it's Escape Reality 94. Instagram and Threads, it's Caleb.Lockwood. And I've got a podcast on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Central where we talk Star Wars. It's Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. Some of you lovely people have been on it. And then
Talk, baby.
yeah, and I also have a couple books I've published on Amazon. If you search my name, you'll find them, Caleb Lockwood. And I'm working on a tabletop role-playing game that last week I talked about. I released the system reference document. Yeah, system reference document is available for free because that's how a system reference document works. And you can find it on escaperealitybooks.weebly.com because I can't pay for Weebly yet to give me my own domain. And then I'm working eventually to do a full core rulebook that will let you play in my setting. But for now, it's just the system rules.
Nice.
But I gotta sit down and do that.
You know,
Writing's hard.
all good things take time. Hereth, where do I find you on the internet? Where are you right now?
Yes, you can find me and Nubs at Hereth Productions on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Hereth_edits on Twitter. And of course, you can find me here on the Pod Ones. Again, we didn't plug it earlier in the show, but I'm going to plug it now. If you guys can, please tune into the trivia tournament on Sunday. We have Bucky versus Chris. It's a good match. Tune in.
All right. Charlie Johnson, your Wi-Fi died. You
Where
can
can the
follow
good
Char Char
people-
J at Char Char J on most social media platforms.
Chase, you didn't point at his name. How do we know if we can find him?
How do you fucking do the internet?
We're-
Charlie
yeah,
Charlie Johnson.
Johnson.
You also gotta
Charlie
say, you gotta say
Johnson.
specifically where can the good people find you.
Where can the good people find Charlie Johnson? You can always go to Char Char J on all social media platforms, and you can also
right here.
you can do the woo, I did it right. And then you can also find Luke at Jedi Master Egg. He is currently vacationing in his condo.
Also to make a joke of himself.
He's having a nice staycation. And he will be back in 3.5 weeks to join again for Jedi Night once that rolls around. I am Chase at Forward Into the Black. You can find me on TikTok at Forward Into the Black. Actually, no, you can only find me exclusively on Hive.
You can find my on Hive. You can find my alt. Who do I make a Jedi alt for?
It was for oh my god, why am I forget his name in Path to Sea? It was for Kev.
Yeah, for Kevmo. Yeah, I have my Kevmo alt account because I got there first.
Yeah,
And
follow me on Hive.
the
I also
banner
have a
dust.
Zanga still active and a live journal.
Are you on
I'm gonna hop
MySpace?
on.
MySpace?
I'm gonna hop on Friendster. That's the
Yeah.
next thing I'm
Friendster.
doing. When Twitter dies, I'm gonna hop on
DM
Friendster.
me
know-
on AIM, baby. The away message is still up.
you know, find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna-
was like, you hit me up on
uh,
LinkedIn. I love to get those connections.
You know, I'm gonna go on
Just
have
Skype.
professional
Saw
ass connection.
Guerrera.
Oh my god, this is
Really
I'm
need
gonna
you
say
to.
a
just go
coworker
ahead
of
and-
mine got stalked in real life and then messaged on LinkedIn.
Oh,
Like we do a lot of like
Oh.
social media, video, and like photo
Mhm.
work for products and stuff like that. And then someone messaged my coworker. And I was like, "Hey man, I saw you outside the office. I didn't want to bother you. It looked like you were doing a shoot." Like I was like, "What the fuck?"
that's a way to start a message.
Terrifying. But you can find me in all reality at Forward Into the Black on TikTok. You can also find me there on twitch.tv. I haven't streamed in a while, but we'll be getting back into it, talking about Star Wars, talking about Star Citizen, and mostly always talking about starships. But yes, that about wraps it up. Thanks for everyone that watched today. Don't forget to like this stream right now, or if you're going to watch it later on, like it as well. And you can find us all on the podcasting platforms where all podcasts debut. Oh, am I supposed to do the
Yeah.